back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about all the books I read in 2024. I'm going to give you my ratings. I'm going to give you my hot takes. I'm going to give you my note. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get into it. I'm going to start by saying I just recently got into my reading era, so I haven't read like 1,000 books like everybody else. I really wanted to start getting into reading last year. So last year I graduated from university, and I find reading in university is just not possible for me. I hated reading growing up, mainly because in school and everything we had so many readings already that reading for fun just wasn't something I wanted to do. But ever since I graduated university, I really wanted to make it a point to start reading. So last year my goal was to read 1 book, and I ended up reading 3, which is amazing for me. And this year my Goodreads goal was 10 books, and I finished this year with 16 books. So let's go through all 16 of those books right now. And I'm also going to do this in order of when I read it. So the first book I read this year was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know how I feel about this book. It was an interesting read. It was like an autobiography of the main character. I found that the characters were super lovable. I loved all the characters in this book, or majority of them, that's for sure. But like I said, it was an interesting storyline, but the ending felt forced. I don't want to give any spoilers away in this video, so that's all I'm gonna say. I feel like the author had a really good story, really good idea, but in order to wrap it up and make it make sense, the ending just felt forced. It also took me a long time to read it. This was a very hard read for me. I almost didn't even finish this book, but I don't want to ever do that. I want to finish all the books that I start, so it took me a really long time to get through it, but I rate this 3 stars. The second book I read this year was The Hunger Games. I love the Hunger Games trilogy. I love the movies. They're one of my favorite movies. I watch them like every single year, but I've never read the book. So I was like, girl, let's read the first book. Let's see what it's all about. I really love the book. I mean, I know I was gonna love it. I love the movie, but I was really surprised on how accurate the movie was to the book. But I will say I did enjoy the book more. I found that the book showed a side to characters that it doesn't show in the movie, and because of that, it made me love a lot of the characters way more. And this book made me so emotional. I sobbed through the book. I love this book. It was so amazing. 5 stars. Next, I read Icebreaker. This is trending everywhere. Everybody was reading Icebreaker this year, so I also got Icebreaker and I gave it a shot. Tell me why. I kind of loved it. Guys, I know I feel like this is very controversial, but I kind of liked it. I couldn't stop reading. This book also made me so emotional. I was laughing with the characters. I was crying with the characters. Like, I was going through it with everybody in this book, but there was so many characters that I got a little bit confused on who she was talking about. The author has the characters' names, but then they also have nicknames, but then some people call them by their last name. So half of the time I had no idea who the hell she was talking about. So I was really confused in that part of the book. Also, I didn't like the ending. The ending felt so rushed. It felt like the author had spent so much time and effort in the whole book up until the last few chapters. It felt like it was so rushed. It felt like they had a deadline. They needed to release the book in a week. It was one of those books that it's like 10 years later and this is where the characters are at. And it's like, I don't want that. So yeah, the ending was a little bit of a disappointment. I should have just skipped that whole chapter, but she still got a 4.5 rating from me. I fell into the ACOTAR trap. Okay, I did. The 4th book I read in 2024 was A Court of Thorns and Roses. I should have bought the series. Because you know damn well I've read the whole series, but I bought the book individually because I didn't know if I was gonna vibe with it. I was seeing a lot of mixed reviews on this online. A lot of people said it was really slow and hard to get into. I actually disagree with that. I love this book from start to finish. I was hooked. There is no slow part for me. There was no boring part for me. Every part of it I loved. I actually couldn't put it down. That's how interesting it was for me. It made me cry. I was kicking my feet. I was giggling. I really, really love this book. It did kind of give like Beauty and the Beast vibes, but with a little bit more horror and a little bit more gore. There was a lot of twists and turns, but some of it was predictable. So there's a lot of elements of this book that were predictable for me, but I still really liked it. And I gave this a 4.5 stars. The next book that I read this year was Catching Fire. Like I said, I wanted to start reading The Hunger Hunger Games series because I love the book, so I knew I was probably gonna love the movies. Oh, or opposite. I love the movies, so I knew I was gonna love the books. Again, I was so surprised on how accurate the movie was to the book. They did such a good job on the movies. It was really hard to spot the differences. I will say for this one specifically, I did like the movie a little bit more than I liked the book, but I still love the book and I gave this a 4 stars. Okay, I just turned off the TV. I don't know if that was distracting or not, but moving on. Okay, on to the next. This is where I dived headfirst into ACOTAR, okay? The rest of the books in order, I read all of them, so let's get into it. This is A Court of Mist and Fury. I loved this book. I love every second of this book. Team Rice. I don't know if it's Rysand or Rhysand. Team High Lord of the Night Court, okay? Because girl, stop. Tell me why I'm kicking my feet. I'm giggling. I could not put this book down. I was obsessed with this book. And this is a thick book too, so I love this book. I honestly, this might be my first reread. I'm so tempted to like start reading this again because this arguably is my favorite book of the series. If I could rate this more than 5 stars, I would, but I'm gonna rate it 5 stars. Guys, it's so good. It's so good. If you're struggling to read ACOTAR, I promise you, good things are coming, babe. Good things are coming. Keep going. Like I said, I kept it going with ACOTAR. So this is A Court of Wings and Ruin. Girl, this is another favorite of the series. It truly is. I love this book. It was so good. There were so many twists and turns. They weren't predictable. Not like the first book. The first book, like I said, was a little bit predictable. There was things that I did predict. This one, I had no idea what was happening. This book, I sobbed. And this book, again, I was kicking my feet. Like I was giggling with the characters. Love this book. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. There was so many plot twists. It was crazy. But I really love this book. I couldn't put it down. Again, if I could rate this a 6 out of 5 stars, I would. But this gets a 5 stars for me. And truly, if you wanted to just read the first 3, you could, because they really are like their own trilogy. If you didn't want to read the 4th or the 5th, I would definitely recommend at least reading the first 3 because they're so good. Especially, again, these 2 are unmatched. These 2, amazing. But I did finish the series, so this is the 4th book. This is A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is very much Christmas special. Honestly, at the first 3 books, there's so much happening. There's so much beef. There's like war, there's fighting, there's a lot that's happening. And I'm like, why can't the characters just get a break? Why can't they just live their best life for a second? Like, do some fun stuff, be happy, have no beef, have no fighting. And this is very much what that is. It's very much characters that you love living their best life. Yeah, I really liked it. But I will say, because there was no fighting, it was a little boring. I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting it to be boring. I thought I was gonna like love them living their best lives, which I did love it, but I was like, come on, where's the drama? So maybe I do love a little fighting, a little drama. Yeah, this is giving very much Christmas special, but I still really liked it. 5 stars. All right, on to the big mama of the book series. This is A Court of Silver Flames. I loved, but I did have a hard time with it because I don't like the main character. I kind of like her now. This book is very much like her redemption arc. As you can see, it takes a lot for her to redeem herself, but she kind of does redeem herself in the end. But for the first large portion of the book, I was like, I hate this character. Why is she being such a little brat, being so annoying right now? Like, Cassian is way too good for you. So there's a lot in here that I was like, oh my god, Nessa's pissing me off. I'm like about to throw hands with her. There was a lot of sisterhood. There was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of growth. There was a lot of overcoming. There was a lot in this book. So I did really love it in the end. But for a big portion of it, I hated the main character. But like I said, there was a lot of redemption. There was a lot of growth, a lot of sisterhood. This book did make me cry, but you grow to love her. So I still really like this book. But I will say, I love smut. I love smut as much as the next girly loves smut, okay? But they did not need to be doing it every chapter. Like, it was getting repetitive. It was getting old. I don't know what that was trying to show us, because she's in her growth journey. We don't need all of that, you know? Keep us on edge. Keep us wanting more. Don't make us not want it anymore at all. So because of that, literally because of that, I rated this a 4.5 stars. Next, I read Fourth Wing. I started the series. Guys, this is it. This is it. This is so good. I was so obsessed with this from start to finish. There was no part that was boring to me. I read this honestly pretty fast. I really loved it. I love their relationship. I love Zayden. Zayden is literally my book boyfriend forever. I'm obsessed with him. It was kind of a slow burn, but it was very enemies to lovers, and I love that trope. I love it. I could not put this down. I could not stop reading this. Obsessed. And dragons and like the relationship with the dragons is chef's kiss. Obsessed. 5 out of 5. Next, I took a break from fantasy and I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. I wanted a standalone book to kind of break up the series that I was like diving into, but I didn't love it. Such a slow burn. It was slow burn from beginning to the end. Like it was building up to something amazing, and then you get to the end and you're just disappointed. It was intriguing, which is why I kept reading, because I was like, okay, well, like something's gonna happen. You know, like something must happen. There's so much hype over this book. Let's get into it. There was a bit of a twist at the end, but it was very anticlimactic. I was like, okay, that's it. Like that was it. There is a bonus chapter of this book. It didn't really do anything for me. I found the bonus chapter, I think on like Reddit or something. I was like, okay, well, what was the point of the bonus chapter? Because it didn't give me anything. Like, okay, yes, give me nothing. Like, I hope you're hungry for what? Nothing. Like that's literally what this gave me. This was very anticlimactic, way overhyped, boring the whole way through. I did not love this book. I rated this 2 stars. The next book I actually read on the library app, so I don't have a physical copy, but I read The Silent Patient. This was another book that I was very excited to read because I saw everybody on Book Talk talking about it, talking about how good it was, how crazy the twist at the end was, blah, blah, blah. Girl, let me tell you, it was very slow burn. Similar to Verity, it was like, okay, like this is happening, like what's gonna happen next? Like, okay, like let's get into it. And it was just slow from start to finish. At the end, you're like, oh, okay, like what's happening? Like obviously something's gonna happen, a little bit of a twist, but it was also really disappointing. I was like, oh, that's it? Like that's it? That's it? Okay, well, that was a waste of my time. I was really disappointed in this book. It's way overhyped in my opinion. I was bored the whole way through, waiting for something amazing to happen, and then nothing but a disappointment. So that's just my take. I rated this 2 stars. Now, after those 2 disappointments, I was like, hey, obviously I'm a fantasy girly, you know? Okay, let me get back into this realm that I love so much. So I read Iron Flame. I loved it. I loved it. Obsessed. I love Andarna. She's so cute and so sassy as she's like growing up. I'm so obsessed. But there were so many twists and turns in this book that I was not expecting, that I was like, I could not put it down. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I will say I was really upset that Violet and Zayden were arguing the whole time. I was like, guys, come on, get it together. What are you talking about? I feel like Violet was very stubborn in this book. I was like, Violet, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You're being so dramatic. I could yap about this book for so long. I'm obsessed. That was the only issue I had with it, was that mom and dad were fighting the whole time. And I was like, guys, get it together. That was my only note. Other than that, I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It would have been 5, but mom and dad, like I said, they were fighting the whole freaking time. Like at this point, I figured out I love fantasy. I don't know why I went back to basic, boring romance. Human romance doesn't do it for me anymore, I don't think, you know? I read Wildfire by the same author that made Icebreaker, so Hannah Grace. Like it was cutesy. It was fun. It was cutesy. It was cheesy. It was very rom-com. So I kind of liked it because I kind of love a little cheese every now and then, you know? But it's like, okay, I'm bored. Like there's so much fantasy that I've been reading, and then I read this and I'm like, I'm bored. But it was still cute, still fun, still a cute little book to read in between my fantasies, a little standalone moment. But again, the ending was very rushed. It was like 10 years later moment, and I hated that. I hated that. So this book gets a 3.5 stars from me. Next, I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I really, really liked this book. Like I really did. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I don't even know how to put it in words. It was so good. There was so many things happening. There was like rivalry. There was so much. This had me kicking my feet. I love this book. I love when an author can make me be like, oh shit. Like there were so many things that happened in this book that I wasn't expecting at all. I really, really like this book. But the ending. What is it up with these endings? Like guys, get it together. The ending is like one of the best parts. Come on. Something happens at the end of this book that gives me the ick. I didn't like it. I was like, ew, why would you put that in there? Like why would you? Because now I'm grossed out, you know, because now I'm like, I have the ick. I want to rip out the chapter and pretend like it never happened. I will say, if she had put what she put in the ending in the beginning or the middle, I probably would have stopped reading. I would have said, you know, this isn't for me. You know, this isn't up my alley. This wasn't what I signed up for. But she put it in the ending, so that made it less horrible because I enjoyed the whole book up until that point. Then it kind of gave me the ick. But there is a bit of a cliffhanger, so I wonder if they're gonna make a second book to this one. And then there was also something in in the ending that I didn't get. It was like a reference, but I didn't understand it. So I looked it up and then I couldn't find the answer. The part that gave me the ick came up. I guess what happened in the end. Some people love it. And I guess it's super common in like werewolf, Wolverine romance books. So I might just like stay away from that. I didn't realize it was super common. I didn't realize people loved it. Like people wanted her to put that in more. She only put it in once and people wanted her to put that in more. And I was like, oh, okay. So I think maybe I just am not a werewolf, Wolverine romance kind of girly. You know, I mean, I was always a Team Edward girly growing up. So that kind of checks out. I don't know. If you're into it, slay the house down boots. If you're not, that's cool. I'm one of the people that are not into that. But if it wasn't there, I would have gave it a 5 stars because I really, really did enjoy this book. But because of the ick that it gave me, like it literally gave me so much ick, I'm speechless. I rate this 4.5 stars. And last, but certainly not least, I just finished this book like 2 days ago. Okay, I love this book. I can't wait to talk about it. It's so good. So the last book I read in 2024 was Light Lark. I actually have the whole series. I did not expect to love this so much. I really didn't, but I'm I love this book. It was amazing. I'm literally gonna start sobbing. Like it was so good. So it was amazing from start to finish. I finished this book in like 4 or 5 days, I think. I could not put it down. It was so amazing. There was so many plot twists. There's love triangles. Oh my God. There's betrayal. Crazy. Like I was on the edge of my seat. There was no part of this book where I was like, okay, I'm bored. Like, come on, like let's get going. No, this was amazing from start to finish. I can predict things from a mile away. It kept me on my toes. Like I had no idea what was going to happen next. I would think something and then that would be wrong, and then I would think something else and then that would be wrong. Freaking cess. I can't wait to finish the series. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to love this much, so I was planning to read this and then go straight into Throne of Glass, but I don't think I can anymore. I think I have to continue with this series because it's so amazing. This is one of the books, if I could rate this 6 out of 5 stars, I would. It was so good, guys. Like I'm not even kidding. I'm obsessed with this book. I would rate this, again, 6 out of 5 stars as I could. Truly brilliant. Truly brilliant. I rate this 5 stars. That is it, guys. That's all the books that I read in 2024. I can't wait to start reading in 2025. It is New Year's Eve tonight, so tomorrow I'm gonna start reading. I'm not gonna read any books tonight because I don't know why, but I feel like I have to wait till January 1st to start any more books. I think Nightbane is the second one in the Light Lark series, so I think I'm gonna have to jump into that because I need to know what happens next. But that is all the books I read this year. I'm really proud of myself. I know that some people read like 40 books in a year, which is crazy to me. I feel like I'm quite a slow reader, but there's also a part of me that likes to take my time reading books because I am so immersed in the book that I don't want to leave that world. Does that make sense? Like I'm like, I don't want to leave. I'm not ready to leave yet. I need to stay a little bit longer, but I'm so excited. I'm so proud of myself for getting to my reading goal this year, and I can't wait to see what 2025 brings. I mainly get book inspo from like Book Talk. If you have any book suggestions, comment down below, please. Like I said, I'm just kind of getting into my reading era, so I think I want to start doing like more book related content. Let me know down below if you want to see that. I also started keeping like a book journal this year. This is kind of what it looks like. It's in my same bullet journal that I do like my monthly planners and things like that, but part of me wants to do just a journal for reading. Let me know if you have a reading journal because I'd love to know and take some inspiration from you guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!